Hey everyone, welcome to today's second working group meeting. The first topic, I believe, is the release related. For the 127, if you haven't taken a look, please check out the announcement for 127. It would be good for all the leads and the TOC member to take a look. I believe, Keith, you also have a PR for the init container. That's also part of that we should ask people to review too, right?
It's Jackie's PR, but yes, it fixes it's meant to address the Istio and race conditions that we've been discussing. So please do review that PR when you can.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's Joe. Go ahead.
No, just regarding the previous topic, sorry, the 127 release. So we're planning to do it next Monday, right? And I just want to ping people, to be sure that, they could review the release notes and mainly the what's new section, right? So if anyone has anything in mind that should be added there, please let us know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the work. Anything else we should be discussing regarding the release?
From me and Jinpeng, I guess, from the release management, I guess that was our main topic for today, unless people want to discuss something else.
All right, so everything is looking good from a release perspective. I think it's just this one remaining, and then the init container one that needs review, which is also doc related, right? Okay, I assume that's a yes. I don't hear anybody have any objections.
Sorry, Lynn, you said the init container was a docs PR or the draft?
Yeah, the draft, sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to push up some things, so it's not quite working yet, but it's a draft, so it's getting there.
Oh, okay. So the release is pending on that PR, is that right?
I think so, but I don't think we'll block the release on it. I mean, I think we'd follow up in a patch, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so let's discuss that. Because the release is coming, so do you think we won't be able to get to it?
I mean, I would hope to get it by Friday. I just need to get reviews but I think that's, I don't know, somewhat reasonable. But again, I would just be, any early feedback is good, even if it's not quite there yet. Because there might be things I'm just not considering that, I need to support, or especially with the API or how we're interacting with things. Because right now I have it as though users would assign, a label to a. Right now I have support for just assigning a label to an ambient pod to inject in a init container. Yeah, sorry, that first change was a mistake in that check init test. But yeah. So I just would like feedback on that, the UI there.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. This is actually a little bit bigger than I thought. Initially, I thought maybe we could provide some docs to tell people how to inject that through our injection template, but sounds like we have to make code changes as well.
No, so I guess my understanding, based on the TOC's kind of discussion in the chat or on Slack, was that we wanted to still try to inject it for the users. We can provide them with the init container, if they would like to install it themselves or configure it themselves, but that we would still try to, for this release, have users or have support for Istio injecting it. That was my understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so the keys you ask us to review in the release note, maybe I confuse things. So there was another PR you asked us to really review, right? So that's the release note, which made me think that the PR would land in the release. So 16749.
Yeah,
So
so
we do, yeah.
there are two PRs. One PR is a docs change that was requested by a user so that the users can be aware that this race condition exists to begin with. That's the PR I submitted.
And that PR referred to the init container, which is the confusing, by the way.
Yes, so that the idea was that once a init container, when we have a go no go decision on a init container, John's understanding is that it wouldn't be a super complex change. My thought process was once we have a go no go on a init container, I can tidy up the PR and either remove it or link to the docs or link to the InVvar or the label or what have you to explain the usage. But so they serve two different purposes. The PR Jackie submitted is sort of and it's an attempt to see if we can't get if it is a simple change like John was saying, and if we can get that in before 1.27, and then the docs PRs will go out no matter what. The exact form of it might just change depending on what's ready for the release.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for clarifying that. So when is the deadline for merge any change for 127? Gusto, I assume you would be the release manager, make the final say.
And Gustavo, what's the timeline for the release? If you're still there.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so we're planning to trigger the big test on Friday, and start the trigger the release on Monday.
Okay, so
Okay.
Friday, I assume in the beginning of the Friday, you would trigger the test.
Well, I'm not sure exactly. Chupeng would know better, but probably I'd say early Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, because you, Jingpeng, and Fasila are all non-US time zone, so that's probably. Are you saying early like EU time or
early EU time? But I guess we could discuss that. If we want these things in before, we could try to postpone it as much as we can to start the tests. I'll try to discuss that with Jingpeng.
okay?
So what do we think? Do we are we comfortable if I assume end of Thursday will be the date given the time zone difference? So are we comfortable if this lands in Thursday? Great. If it doesn't land, are we comfortable with in a patch release maybe in another 3 weeks?
I mean,
that's
that's
go ahead,
fine with me. I was just saying, I think that would be fine with me. I'll try my best for Thursday evening, and I'll coordinate with the release managers as well and kind of share updates with them. But I'll try my best. But I think I'm not sure what we could do other than what you suggested.
Right, and I mean the other thing is hold the release, but since we've been releasing before, so yeah.
I don't think that would be appropriate here, but Keith,
okay,
I cut you off.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I don't think we need to hold the release for it. We'll get docs out about the issue no matter what, and we will we'll just sort of adjust the details of those docs depending on what gets released when. I know typically we don't try to have new features out in patch releases, but this feels like an appropriate time to have something, to ship something new in a patch release.
Just an FYI, there's the people that kick off the tests, I believe they're based in the US anyways, right? So we may have some margin there.
But we'll need a release manager to approve the cherry pick PR, right?
Yes.
I can try to be available for that.
Okay. Well, let's get to end of day Thursday and figure out where we are.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Are we okay to move on to the next topic? Thanks so much for the discussion on the release. The next topic from Cisco. I guess he wants review on his PR next week. Sorry, he's trying to join next week. He wants some review on his PR. So how do we want to handle this? Should we just call for people to review? Keith, go ahead.
John or somebody else who was around back then helped me out here, but I don't think this is a new issue, especially given the versions. I recall Quat made a change, and this is actually in the PR. So Quat made a change to remove the custom Istio JWT off-in, the JWT off-in filter, and replace it with the Envoy upstream off-in filter. And as a result, there's a change to how lists were handled. And there was a patch for it. So I want to just double check as you review to ensure that we're not reverting the revert. I might be conflating two issues, but that it sounds familiar enough to me. And 120 to 121 was the upgrade path. So I want to just see if anybody else, does anybody else remember this? And do we know if we want to move forward with this PR given those changes? Looks like folks don't remember. I'll dig into it. Go ahead and assign the PR to me. And I'll make some time to review.
Is it switching back to the old filter entirely? It's not just making, like the PR says space delimited JOT custom claim support, but is it really more like legacy JOT filter mode?
I don't see the old filter being added. It's envvar, and it looks like Pilot is changing the claims themselves and doing the translation to the existing Envoy filter.
Okay, that's better than pulling in the old filter that we were probably already removed or planning to remove in the future.
Yeah, I think the JOT filter is gone.
Yeah, okay.
This just persists the existing behavior.
Wait, this is, you specifically set which claim should be? That seems.
Yeah. Why is scope and permission default? Am I reading that right? Yeah, I think this needs more discussion.
But so Envoy. Wow, this is wild. So Envoy specifically, you have to pass to it which claims are space delineated.
Seriously?
That's what it looks like.
Normalized payload. Wow.
So you have to know all of them ahead of time?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, yikes. How do we even... I almost feel like a custom filter is better than that. Better than that API.
Yeah, I mean, if you really like, I mean, if this is a real thing, then it shouldn't be a pilot environment variable, right? It should be on the request authentication.
Right. Right.
Or just make it always use the old behavior and split all strings. But I think splitting all strings is probably problematic. I guess what this is saying, it's like a backwards incompatibility thing, but it's also a backwards incompatibility thing to 1.20, which is like odd for 1.27 to have. Like if we're adding something 7 releases later, then it's obviously not a temporary fix, right?
True. And it's already way unsupported. So there are a couple questions wrapped up here. So like, do we act this for 127 period in this current PR? Then the next question is, do we think it should be a proper API, and what the timeline for that API is?
I think 127 is out, right? So maybe a proper API make more sense to have more time to think through. I mean, we only have 2 days for 127.
That's true. Yeah.
Especially given that they want to talk about this next week. 127 is out of scope.
Yeah, that's a really good call, actually. Yeah. So let's plan to just do this for 128 and have a deeper discussion of the constraints here. It does appear that this is an Envoy API where you have to pass and space limited claims, which I agree with John. This probably should belong in the API itself versus a pilot field. So yeah, let's plan to discuss then.
Presumably there's an available workaround for the user using Envoy filter in the meantime.
Is that true?
I can't see why it wouldn't be true.
Maybe. I mean, you'd have to
Right,
go patch the jot filter. Yeah, I think it would work probably.
Yeah, you can do it. It gets tricky, but you could do it.
Yeah,
Not
either
for
that or
ambient,
you
but you could do it.
post process the jot claim at a different point in the filter chain right after it.
All right. Let me know if you want to update anything regarding the notes.
Thanks, Lynn.
All right. Thanks for the discussion. Sounds good. So I guess we'll just continue this next time when he joins the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we can probably leave comments on the PR as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. All right, so the next topic is filter invalid certs. I guess it's another PR out there.
Oh, I forgot to put my name on it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
this was just starting to get buried a bit. So I'm here kindly asking for reviews. At a high level, the problem is that when Istio parses a certificate chain, or it's not a certificate bundle, if any one of them are invalid, it rejects all of them. But that's not, wouldn't say that's RFC compliant, which says that non-conforming CAs that we should handle such errors gracefully, and it's also a security thing. So I do want to get a good amount of eyes on it, or at least some discussion on it. Hello?
Yep, I heard that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
think
so it's not.
I'll review it at least.
Okay, thanks. Did it test? Okay, I should look at that too.
Yeah, so I saw Jackie and the Keith already had some review, I guess. Do you need, is there any contention you want to bring up? Or?
No, there's no contention. It's kind of in a sensitive spot. So I just wanted to call it out so people were at least aware of it. And if they want to have their thoughts, just because it's, roots are parsing.
Now, this change is going to be pretty transparent to the user, I assume, right? Unless when they have invalid certs, hopefully it would handle better. But in general, I don't think the user would be noticed if everything works. Okay.
Yes, it's pretty niche, I think, when you would encounter this kind of issue.
All right. Thank you, Stephen, for bringing that up. Yeah. Anything else we should discuss on this topic? If not, do we have any other topics we want to discuss? All right, I'm not hearing any topics. Is there anything that's worth mentioning from the chat?
Looks like a question around egress, wildcard service entry for ambient support from Carl. Anybody, Carl, still here, want to come off mute and sort of recap the chat right quick?
Yeah, basically it's just kind of using the same mechanisms that the sidecar data plane mode allowed us to have, which is kind of like that asterisk to Amazon AWS, which currently works. I noticed when I switch over to do an ambient that was not allowed. So I mean, some of the scenarios, like when Amazon creates like S3 buckets, they have like cryptic names in the host names. So sometimes it's not easy to identify the exact like FQDN for the service entry that's needed. So for us, it was easier like in the beginning to just have the wildcard there. And then as we were going through like the access logs, looking for the pass-through clusters and finding the exact host names everybody was going to. And then we built service entries for those exact host names. But in the beginning, we didn't know which host names they were going to, so it's hard to create service entries. And I imagine it's still kind of difficult now for companies to accomplish that sort of thing. Like if the developers don't know what their microservices are communicating to externally, how to build those service entries to have an effective egress filtering policy. I think some of this stuff shows up in metrics, I believe, but I think some of those still don't like identify like exactly which host name people are trying to get out to sometimes.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I think that use case makes sense, and the service entry UX is pretty nice there with the wildcard service entries for when you don't know exactly what those are. Ian, you brought up a good point in chat about, and we talked about this in one-on-one when it comes to if you've got like food.example.com and bar.example.com having the same IP address for TCP protocols. Is that the main reason why wildcard service entry was disallowed initially, or were there other considerations there?
Yeah, for like Z-tunnel, if you map them both onto the same VIP, we've lost information, and that's not that helpful for a lot of folks. So I just wanted to make sure that for Carl's specific use case, we would have some way to recover that information when it gets to the egress gateway. And it sounds like we will, because he wants HTTP.
Right. So we'll have the
Yeah,
host header.
but the problem is, like, at the DNS layer, we don't know if there's an egress gateway or not, right? I mean, we could add that, but then that's like, if you, let's say you don't have an egress gateway, if you return an IP address for a wildcard, then you're screwed, because we can't actually circle the traffic because we don't know where to send it.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That's true, because we don't know if it's going to be used for a HTTP request or a TCP request.
Yeah, you also don't know how to serve it at the egress gateway with the controls that Istio egress gateway currently gives you.
But wouldn't the service entry have a different annotation? I believe there's a TCP protocol versus the HTTP for the service entry.
That's true.
Yes, I'm not sure what that's so upset. Like, when the egress gateway gets a request, it's going to match. It's going to see an IP address, and it's going to say, okay, this is the star.amazonaws.com service entry. But that's it. It doesn't know which specific domain. Now, I get that, like, it's conceptually the information is there because it's probably in the SNI or in the HTTP host header. I'm just saying that Istio egress gateway cannot use that information to route.
Wait, why can it not? I'm confused.
Because that's not how routing works there's no dynamic host name routing in Istio. So, okay, so let's go to the sidecars. Like, we have this service entry with wildcard. It's not doing dynamically looking at the host name and using that. It's just passing through to the IP address. It's using original destination. So what you would want here is, like, not doing that, like looking at the host name, dynamically saying, oh, this was foo.amazonaws.com, and like dynamically forwarding that, which isn't something Istio does.
Got it. That makes sense. I didn't realize we were doing that in sidecars.
Yeah, then you end up having to create two service entries, right, and a route object to get the effect.
Right. Is this final use case for dynamic forward proxy? And Envoy? No, because it's
either
doing DNS. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it's either that or dynamic VIPs, right?
Right.
So this pose is an example of a service entry that we're currently using from the sidecar data plane mode.
Right. I think what John is saying is that in sidecar mode, what this service entry would do is different than what it would do in ambient. So,
yeah, I was just giving an example of what is currently working.
and so what we're saying then is that in sidecar mode, we would see the service entry and we would use original destination because we're doing DNS resolution on the, actually, resolution's none. So what would we do in this case, John? Resolution none.
Resolution none is original destination.
Oh, right. So it's the IP address of whatever the client got. Gotcha.
I believe we are also look at the header in this case, no? For SNI, for 3.
We don't look at that. We look at the header or SNI to match that it's star.amazonaws.com. We don't look and see what is this actual value of the star, right?
I know, but we can apply policies because on the host name because we know that the SNI header.
Yeah. You can apply policies, yes. But the problem is at egress gateway, you don't know where to send it to.
Yes, because it's not. I think we had some plans or we did pass the information to the egress gateway in some cases. So sidecar can add this information, and the egress gateway can. I don't remember, but my point is if you look at SNI header on a host header, you can do all kind of stuff with names, but only in this case.
I agree. If you look at there's no problem conceptually with this working. It's just a problem with the Istio implementation.
Right.
Yeah, where you've got to either create VIPs on the fly based on what the user requests, or you have to do something where you create do something like DFP, where you resolve it dynamically based on that host header.
Creating host on IPv4 dynamically, we discussed it and many people tried it. It's very, very complicated. IPv6, it may be possible because you have so many addresses, but managing the domain ranges and coordinating it.
Yeah, it's tough. Not gonna lie. Not disagreeing with you at all there. Just trying to understand what the issue is for this. Carl, if Carl is still here, yeah, you are. Going back to the general problem statement. So stepping back from service entry, the general problem statement you're trying to get to is dynamic. Not use the word dynamic. If you're trying to be able to have dtunnel route to a thing in the mesh, like to the egress gateway, without specifying the host manually in a service entry. That's sort of the problem statement, right?
Well, I mean, I guess, not necessarily not needing a service entry, but allowing a wildcard as a service entry.
Sorry, yes, using a wildcard without knowing the specific host in the service entry.
Yeah, because one of the other scenarios too, besides Amazon, AWS, we have our company's got like internal endpoints, and those all have various names that people connect to. So we also have like an asterisk dot internalcompany.com that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wanted to go to the egress gateway for policy enforcement, but also so that you can basically say only this IP can egress from my network, essentially.
Yeah, I read John's blog, and I got network policies all over the place now. So I've got a network policy that only allows internal cluster communication. So it's the pod IP address CIDR block and the like the EKS worker node block. So it's like Kubernetes services and the pod IPs are the only thing that is allowed. And then egress gateway is the only thing that has a 000 allow block network policy. So we force everything through the egress gateway.
Are you talking about HTTP only, or do you have other protocols?
So actually, this is all protocols that we're going to force through the egress gateway.
But do you have majority of traffic, or most of the traffic is HTTP, or databases or other things that are non?
Not for the wildcards. The wildcards we only do for the HTTPS endpoints. So for like databases and stuff like that, we force people to define the port and a CIDR range, which is like 10.0.
Yeah.
Because all their databases are within their singular AWS account.
My point is most people who have similar requirements that I've seen in the past have used HTTP. So basically the egress gateway usually was some external egress gateway, some proprietary or whatever custom egress gateway, and they apply the HTTP rules. So basically make an HTTP request to the egress gateway and then apply policies on the egress gateway only using HTTP, ignoring the IP addresses basically. It's clean. It works with any egress gateways in the world, Squid or whatever other egress gateway, including ours, or in any HTTP gateway really. And you avoid a lot of problems because IPs are shared in Amazon, so it's not necessarily that you get a dedicated, well, unless you pay for it. But many of the services are on shared IPs in Amazon or everywhere else.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Like I said, Carl, it's something I think Jack and Gustav are at least looking at for 1.28. Hopefully, once you get all the release stuff done, we'll be able to give more more updates for what we find, and if we can figure out a solution for some of these complexities.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and bringing your use case. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. Unfortunately, there's no magic to fix it faster. Well, like you can't do an envoy filter for this scenario. I think that's the last topic for today. Thank you all for joining. Give you all 20 minutes back.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Cheers.